Howdy, howdy, and welcome back. It's another Workshop Wednesday. This week's edition is a strategy session. We actually had an extra bonus strategy session this month since we had 5 Wednesdays. And today we are talking to those of you who are running traffic. That's right. It's the media buyer's chance to hit the spotlight. We're going to talk about how you can get credit from Google Analytics for all the results you are providing. Before we go too far into this, welcome. My name is Chris Mercer. I'm the co-founder of a company called measurementmarketing.io, and where you found us through the podcast and talks that we're out there constantly providing, whether you found us through some of the platforms that we share some of our content with. Maybe you're already a member over at measurementmarketing.io, whether a free toolbox member, an Academy for Marketers paying member, maybe you're part of the Academy for Professionals group, maybe even the Academy for Agencies and Teams. Whichever level you're at, we're happy that you're here. It's our job to help people just like you learn how to use all of these tools. And that means specifically learning how to use Google Analytics 4 to tell a proper story, not just for your clients, but for yourself as well. Now, we do this through the Measurement Marketing Academy. It is our flagship just-in-time learning platform that everybody's got access to. And again, we've got free levels available as well. More on that at the end of the content. Right now, though, let's focus on one thing. Remember, you look for one new idea, one new strategy. Maybe it's one new way of hearing something where you go, okay, I can take action on that. Build the skill, then come back, rewatch this workshop, pick up another new one thing. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Strategy session. Media buyers, is Google Analytics giving you the credit you deserve? We're actually going to dive right in and we're going to talk about how you, as a traffic person, somebody who's out there buying ads and you spend so much time in platforms like Google Ads, how do you get credit for that? Because sometimes you'll see the platform says one thing, Google Analytics says to something else, and you want to be in a story where the two of them match. Now, we're going to dive into the framework very quickly and review this because everything fits in the framework. We've got plan, build, and launch. Why do we do this? Because marketers typically are just guessing about what they should do to improve the results. And we want to build a system that just using the system produces the revenue and profits that we want. Measurement is that system. First, we plan out our measurement, making sure we write down all the questions we're trying to answer. We think about the information we're going to collect in order to get those answers, and we know what actions we're going to take based upon the answers that we get. Now, this is where today's workshop focuses, because in the build, the first thing you do is you have to define your results. Then you've got to make sure that platforms like Google Analytics 4 understand where the traffic is coming from. This is what we're going to talk about in this strategy session today, specific from a media buyer's or an ad manager buyer's perspective. Then when you properly set up Google Analytics 4, you'll see a natural story between which traffic is causing which results. Then you launch your measurement system. At that point, you're listening to the conversation that's happening between the users and the site. Then you are forecasting based upon those initial trends and patterns that you record. You're going to start to forecast future trends and patterns. And then you measure against your forecasts. That's what tells you where you should focus your marketing efforts so you can reliably produce those revenue and profits. That is the measurement marketing framework in a nutshell. Now, your guest instructor today is Fiona Smallwood. Fiona's actually a certified measurement marketer, has been certified for a number of years with us. She's also an instructor in the Ask an Instructor support section over at the Measurement Marketing Academy. She's a Google Ad specialist, so she's coming at this from your perspective. She understands what it's like to buy all this stuff, spend a bunch of money, and then have clients say, yeah, well, I don't know, I think the email caused the sale, right? She understands that stuff. And she's on a mission to make sure that measurement is what people are using to optimize rather than just blindly believing what all these platforms are saying. I mean, let's face it. If you and I had the money that platforms like Facebook and Google Ads have basically told us that we've sold, we'd all be millionaires. But that's just not true. And that's why measurement is so important. Now, Fiona's got a special passion for sharing knowledge so that everybody can get the most from the tools they're already using. And that's kind of a secret here, because you probably already have the right tools, maybe just not the right strategies. And so that is what Fiona is going to be talking about. So without further ado, welcome to the stage, Fiona Smallwood.
Hey, thanks for that. I'm really looking forward to diving into a strategy session on UTMs for ads managers, or as the title says, UTMs for amazing ad managers. Why that makes you amazing is because when you start to think outside the box of the particular ad platform that you are running, or it might even be a couple of those, but when you start to think holistically about that picture of the customer journey and how your campaign fits into that process, it becomes amazing. So if that's why you're here, then welcome, and let's dive into the strategy. So quick overview on what we're doing today is we're going to have a quick recap of UTMs, why they're here, and they're a game changer. The customer journey, we're going to look at that quite organically through a couple of visuals and talk about where the ads manager sits amongst that. So no matter what platform you're on, we're just going to have a look at, some of the pitfalls that can happen when you're not using UTMs, which just sort of goes on to reiterate why using the UTMs is so beneficial to your strategy and, of course, measurement, because that's what we're all about here. We're going to have a look how that adds value for your client, and then we are going to wrap it up. So I just want to preface this by saying and set the right expectations, because we're all about setting expectations here. This is a strategy session. So we're not going to be looking at how to use any particular platform, but we're going to be talking about how to think about it. We're bringing UTMs into the mix. So obviously we're going to be talking about how you can bring UTMs into that skill set that you've got. But of course, that might spark different ideas for you and how you can use it. And we have so many organic different journeys going on everywhere that you might think of multiple ways that you can use it. Either way, take something from this session that is applicable to you, and we hope that you get benefit from it. So let's kick things off, and I'm just going to touch on a really brief history of UTMs. So once upon a time, there was a familiar story product called Urchin Tracking Module, which we're not going to talk about. You've probably been there, done that, heard it a million times. UTMs are very in vogue right now, and as we like to say, they are used a lot. They're not necessarily used well, which comes from co-founder and instructor at MMIO, a guy called Chris Mercer. So Mercer explained UTMs in a way that made sense. Now, I can't really do justice to the way that Mercer explained that. You will see just simply by Googling UTMs and Mercer, jump the gun there, you'll find any number of the discussions that Mercer has had around UTMs, and in a way that has helped thousands of people implement UTMs in a really, really beneficial way. If you Google UTM Chris Mercer, you're bound to find one of his many, many talks that he's given around UTMs, and I would highly recommend that you watch one of those to get the background on an actual UTM strategy. We also have a variety of workshops and courses and lessons within our academy. So just highlighting some of those here, we've got the ABCs of using UTMs, the perfect strategy to measure traffic in Google Analytics using UTMs. We've got measuring traffic in Google Analytics, and then we've got various lessons. So now we've got that covered, we can actually kick on. So having just covered all of that, why is it different for ads managers? Why can't we just use a generic UTM strategy, and why would you want to think differently about it? So as someone who's come from an ads background, I have found the thought process of understanding the customer journey and implementing UTMs for the benefit of the customer, not necessarily just my measurement, but that the customer that I'm serving and the actual customer journey that people are going through, that we're running the ads for, has just been hugely beneficial. So we're going to jump in and have a look at that. UTMs are great at providing value to your clients. So I'm talking there about the client that you're serving. So obviously you're in business as an ads manager, you've got clients to serve, and we want to retain those customers, not just for our own books. Of course, it is great to have people on your books for a long period of time, because it allows you to develop a relationship. But when we are frequently churning clients, what often happens is so much optimization that happens in those initial sort of 3, even up to 6 months, that if we're continually churning clients, we never actually get into a deeper strategy. So we're just always really executing these kind of surface strategies that don't let you sink roots in and get to visit the stage of more advanced techniques, and even things like running remarketing campaigns, or growing new lists, or looking at scaling versus looking at different needs of the business. So it's beneficial to your clients, also beneficial to you to nurture these long-term relationships. Providing value to get a better return on ad spend. So obviously the better that you can optimize and understand you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, the better it's going to be for your client. There's less wasted ad spend, and you can adjust more quickly to where you can see that there is value in the campaign. Now, I have that highlighted there because I like to just really be clear that when we're talking about a return on ad spend, quite often what we're seeing in the platform, well, not quite often, but I'd say most of the time now, 99% of the time, we'll call it that, the return on ad spend is not what equals dollars in the bank for clients. This isn't a lesson around that, but I have called that out because when I'm talking about a return on ad spend, I'm talking about the term that is used within particular platforms, so Facebook or Google, and it's commonly understood that that's the amount of money that a client gets back from what an ad has cost. And I think we're all pretty much in agreement now that that is actually not necessarily what the client gets back in dollar value, but it's a useful indicator for running ads platforms. So like I said, providing value to create long-term clients, and also as an ads manager to give you a point of difference, because when you start looking, like I used the word before, holistically at the ads that are running, then it is a point of difference, because those campaigns that you're running really do need to be able to step up to the plate and meet the other type of platform where it leaves off. So by that, I mean, you might be running organic social media and you are wanting to, grow your audience so that Facebook ads can have an audience that it picks up on, and you can create further audiences from that. Or you might be running a Facebook ads campaign, top of funnel, whereby you're looking to get more reach or more traction from your Google Ads brand campaign. So there's a whole lot of ways that those campaigns work together. And as an ads manager, if you have the ability to display that to your client and explain and talk that strategy through with them, then clearly you're offering more value. So it's a really good, strong point of difference to have there. So in regards to the UTMs, a very quick recap, the anatomy of a UTM. I'm going to call out that I know that there is more parts available now with GA4 to a UTM, but for the majority of people, and if this is a fairly new concept to you, then it's suffice to say that these 5 parameters that have been available for a long time with UTMs is a good place to start, but there are some additional parameters that can also be sent through now. So we're just going to cover these 5 today. You have the UTM source, which is where the traffic has come from. We have medium, which is the type of traffic that we're sending. For example, that might be paid, or it might be organic, or it might be referral. We have the campaign. The campaign generally refers to the product that you're selling. We have the term, which translates to a keyword certainly in Universal Analytics. And then we have the content, which is something that you can use to differentiate the actual piece of media that you're using for advertising. And so down the bottom here, we can see that all of those parameters get stitched together with little ampersands, with UTM underscore source equals Facebook, UTM underscore medium equals CPC, so on and so forth. And the naming convention that you implement to send that information through to Google Analytics is essentially UTMs in a nutshell. And so you really are piggybacking that information into analytics so that you can make sense of where your traffic is coming from, and in turn be able to measure what's going on with that traffic. And of course, the value of all of this from a measurement marketing perspective is that you get to measure your marketing, and that's something that is becoming increasingly harder to do. There is a lot of change going on as of today. There are a lot of different methods spruiked by various platforms as to how you can measure results platform specifically. However, we like to measure results in line with what you're trying to achieve in your business, perhaps in your forecast. And that's what measurement marketing is about. And you would have seen that in the framework that was discussed just in the intro there. And so if you're looking for more information about the measurement marketing journey, again, it's recommended that that's something that you go back and investigate. So we're going to talk now and have a look, like I said, we're going to have a look at funnels and customer journeys and how that all looks prior to overlaying any UTMs in regards to that. So in today's mix, we're going to be using a blend of a mock funnel, a UTM tracker, We're going to have a quick look in Looker Studio and some screenshots of Google Analytics. I have to say I'm not going to any of these platforms live, just using them within a presentation so that we can have a look at the various elements that make up the mix. So you might notice there's no ads platform there, and that is correct because this isn't as I said, it's strategy and it's not an ad platform specific training. And what we really want to impress upon here is the strategy that can be the overarching strategy for implementing paid ads, and that could even include organic social media for that matter. And it's generic. It's not something that needs to be considered depending on what platform, but it does need to be considered depending on what traffic you're sending to your website so that you can extract the information that you need from that platform. So planning your route starts with the map, not the vehicle. And I say that because when we're thinking of the customer journey and what we're about to see in the presentation is that quite often we skip that step and we dive straight into the doing and we skip the planning step. So we don't have a map of where we're going or why we are going there. So this is a think session dedicated to planning the map. There's a little quote that I've picked up here from Avinash Kaushik. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. And it says, you must move beyond the mental model of a single source of truth to a true multiplicity strategy to identify actionable insights faster. That's from his book, Web Analytics. And to summarize, what he's saying there is that a single source of truth, in my interpretation of this in regards to paid ads, would be we're looking at, say, our Facebook ads as a single source of truth to gain insights faster. So we're looking at those results for Facebook. Whereas if we move beyond that mental model of a single source of truth, i.e. Facebook, to an entire strategy and a customer journey getting from, awareness through to conversion, that might be purchase, whatever it is, that's when we're going to start to identify actionable insights faster. So when we understand that all of those platforms work together in cohesion to get an outcome, we're going to achieve that. And I love that quote because I think it's just a real reminder that all the moving pieces need to work together in synchronicity to get a really valuable outcome. Okay, so as I said, we're going to dive into having a look at the customer journey and sort of how this funnel can come about and manifest in paid ads. I'm just going to start actually here with the client journey in terms of paid ads. So one of the scenarios that, give or take, this is a pretty common scenario that you'll have a client who has an idea, they start running their business. Now that could be at any level of, they could have been running it for a while or, fairly new to it. But in this case, we're going to assume that they've been running it for a while and they've probably got a business plan, and they will then generally reach out to either a marketing agency or individuals to run these various channels of their advertising. So you might have here Facebook guy, Google guy, and let's call it organic social media. So there's a few going on there. Now, even if this was within one business, the same thing can still happen. You might have a marketing manager and two individuals running campaigns. But generically, what happens is that there are a few individuals involved in running this, and they'll be responsible for a particular platform. So they've kind of got their own SOPs here or their own idea about how to run things. And what can happen is that they end up running their own campaigns here, which kind of are a duplication of one another in a different platform. So, you might be looking at reach in Google, reach in Facebook, and then getting some organic reach as well, which is really not thinking about what the platform does best for a start, and where it needs to get that client journey so that the next platform can pick up and take over from there. So by that I mean, if the top one here was running Facebook and he was running top of funnel traffic, then the conversion for him may look like getting them to the website, to a page where they can sign up to join the mailing list. The organic guy might be running social media campaign to just create some cheaper traffic to the website and to test audiences, something to that effect. It could be anything, but for example, if that was happening. So then what happens is, if you were running it through UTMs and you had a cohesive strategy, then you would know that Facebook needs to get to a certain point whereby Google would pick up with their remarketing campaign, and you might just be creating top of mind ongoing awareness through the type of content that you put out in your social media, general social media. It might even be, like I said, that organic may come first and just help to create that awareness to have more effect for the Facebook ads. So a funnel, when it comes presented to you, in the client's mind, might look something like this, which is possibly even a little bit more orderly than it actually is, but there's kind of a whole lot going on here without a lot of order. And for someone to look at that, especially a business owner who has a lot of stuff going on, it can be really overwhelming. And then we start to throw sort of marketing terms and so on and so forth into the mix, and we're talking top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. Of course, as someone who is running ads, that means something, and it will dictate the kind of traffic that we're going to run and how much we're going to pay for certain bids, and there's a whole strategy around that. However, for someone who is running a business, it doesn't necessarily equate to that. And so using our UTMs to dictate that strategy, to help us understand how our channel is contributing to this customer journey, is what gives us the ability to employ that multiplicity that I was talking about previously and gain actionable insights faster. So you might even have a journey that looks something like this, which is a bit smaller, where you know that you've got paid Facebook traffic coming in, paid cold Google traffic coming in, and some organic stuff. And then they're going to a landing page, and they've got a course to buy. It's pretty straightforward little funnel there. But what you need to know is, how did the social media traffic perform? How did the Facebook traffic perform? How did the Google traffic perform? So if you're looking at your traffic, and if you have a look at these by in terms of remembering what those UTM parameters are, if you filter by source and medium and look at social media, for example, you can understand if social media did the job of getting people to have an awareness about this business. And again, if you were to overlay that with Facebook, then you can understand, did the Facebook people get them to click on the landing page, and did they buy? And then, for example, you may have the Google coming in, whereby you can understand, did the Google, was it able to remarket to them once that they had an awareness of the business and eventually get them to buy the course, and did it provide that opportunity? And doing that without the use of UTMs becomes extremely hard. So what you want to do is make sure you have a cohesive UTM strategy that is not just useful for you, but it is useful from the client's perspective, in that it is contributing to an overall UTM strategy that helps you to get these results, that helps you to get the answers that I just spoke about there. And again, just demonstrating that in a different way. When we execute the ads, we have planning here, and optimization is way over there to the side. It's not even, we're busy in this planning phase. We are thinking about, what media we need to get in, what scripts do we need to write, how's our copy going to be. We've probably got a lot of back and forth going on with the client at this stage because we're doing onboarding and so on and so forth. And optimization is right over at the side here. And then, so Facebook dives in, Ads Manager number 2 dives in, Ads Manager number 3 dives in, all with their own UTM strategy. Like I said in the beginning, a lot of people are using UTMs, not many people are using them well. And by that, I mean they're not using them in an overarching strategy to drive sales or conversions eventually. And so as this timeline progresses, we end up with the customer over here, our client, waiting for the results to come in. And because these guys are working in their own little silos, the customer starts to ask questions because he's not seeing any results. Facebook's happy doing his thing. Google is happy doing his thing. Social's happy doing his thing. They all think that they are getting results because their platform tells them they're getting results, but the client is getting nothing. He's got crickets. He's saying, well, I'm not getting results. You're telling me one thing, you're telling me another, you're telling me another. And it can end up being a real point of frustration, not to mention very, very expensive and damaging to businesses in the amount of costs that they incur, and also to your own business, because you aren't able to back up what the results that you're claiming that you could get, or were claiming you were getting at the beginning. So the answer lies not in UTMs, but also opening up these conversations around, with your colleagues and other ads managers to identify these UTM strategies. So that's where I speak about point of difference and leading that conversation. So a brief look here at what it would look like with the one platform. Well, 3 different platforms, but all running, singing from the same songbook, so to speak, would be one strategy going from top of funnel to bottom of funnel. And then I am using a screenshot here from Universal Analytics, which is definitely it is sunsetting in July of 2023, so this won't be around for long. However, I've included this screenshot because there are many people that are still using Universal Analytics, so I want to demonstrate how you can see them in here, but also an opportunity to call out that it is a time where this view will not be familiar anymore. So if you are still seeing this sort of screenshot, it is definitely time to start migrating or thinking about migrating and becoming familiar with the GA4 platform. That's another topic for another day. But if you are looking at your results in this sort of old Universal Analytics view in the source medium report, it is time to start thinking about moving to GA4. This just has a really clear demonstration of how the source medium shows up in analytics. So I just wanted to highlight that when you start operating from this point of view, so all of the different platforms going through the one strategy, you can see here, and this is something that Mercer explains, and it's also in our measurement marketing platform when he talks about his UTM strategy. So I would highly recommend that you watch that if this doesn't make any sense to you. But you come into source medium and you can see how your ads platform is contributing to the overall goals. Now we call these ACE goals, so we talk about aware goals in analytics, engagement goals, and completion goals. And by employing these in Google Analytics along with your UTMs, and we're filtering by UTM here, we can start to see which platforms are working really well for which part of the customer journey. So talking about our ACE goals. Was, for example, the Facebook platform really good at getting the client aware? Was it really good at getting the client to engage? But do we need to bring in Google, for example, to seal the deal? So using your strategy in that way will help you to measure how your platform is contributing to the client's journey. And then, of course, you're going to be able to measure against that as opposed to relying just solely on what the platform optimization results are telling you. Okay, so bringing all of that together is optimization within your ads platform only. If you're a Google Ads Manager or a Facebook Ads Manager, it really gives you this tunnel vision. You can only see what is going on for your platform, your campaign. You can see a various amount of metrics within that platform, and you can optimize based on that. When you bring it all together and start using UTMs as part of a team with the collective goal of getting conversions and acknowledging the customer journey, you start to have eyes on all of the platforms and how they are contributing. So to go back there for a minute, if, for example, you were a Facebook Ads Manager and you were running ads, And so we're popping over now into a UTM tracker. So if you're a free Toolbox member with us, you would have access to this. And of course, if you're in our academy, you definitely would have access to this as well. So in the UTM tracker here, what I'm looking at is and this is just a demo to illustrate what I've been talking about. But if we have a look here, we've got the various ad platforms. So we've got Facebook and Google here, all coming in through paid ads. So we know that in our reports, we would be able to see them by source and medium. So our campaigns here are a little bit all over the shop. So we can see Facebook's user naming convention where they're talking about middle of funnel, top of funnel. Then we can see that Google's gone off on a different tangent and they're talking about campaign type in the literal sense. So they've got display, search, brand. Then we've got the terms, which is, just again, a bit of mishmash. We can see that Google's got some cohesion with the type. There's repetition in the names that they're using for the term. And then content, we can see here that Google has started to pull in a bit of top of funnel here. So overall, there's nothing really going on. Now, if Google understood their naming convention, this would be really beneficial for them. And then if Facebook understood theirs, it'd be really beneficial for them. But when it comes back to the customer and how beneficial it is for them, it's not really beneficial at all. And when I say the customer, because ultimately they're at the end of the day looking for the results. But when it does come to measuring the results and finding out what is working and what's not working to get somebody from A to B on that customer journey, none of this is going to be really beneficial. And so what you might do as a measurement marketer is reach out and, I guess, control the naming conventions for the overall campaign as opposed to your platform, so that you would know that in the future in Google Analytics, when this information shows up, or Looker Studio, if you're going to use that for your reporting, that you would be able to extract the information you need to get the insights that you need so that you can take action where you need to. So you would optimize for a campaign as opposed to optimizing for a platform or an ad set, or one of those things that is quite segmented in any particular advertising channel. So what that might look like here is campaign might be selling, might be the name of, so if you were in e-commerce, there's a couple of things going on here. One is if you were selling a product, for example, if we were selling from measurement marketing point of view, if we were in the academy, then that would be the name of the product we're selling. Okay. And so you then know that you would be able to have a look at how the traffic was performing in regards to that particular product. However, if you're in e-commerce, then you're going to have a variety of products. So you might want to think of how is your traffic performing from the perspective of the type of traffic that you're going after. So you might have a look at how your top of funnel traffic is reporting, and then you might want to have a look at bottom of funnel and middle of funnel. So there's a couple of things you could compare there. You could see, well, we know that typically top of funnel is meant to bring people to the site to make them aware. But the way that platforms are going now, where they want you to put in a large amount of data so that they can find traffic for you while they learn, you might find that your top of funnel traffic is actually performing better at making e-commerce conversions. So by using campaign names in that way, where you can group and make correlations on data that is appearing together, it's easier for you to optimize. So you might look at doing something like that, employing that strategy across all of your paid ads platforms. And then here you might start talking about, whether it was a promotion, this is for e-commerce, for example, or if it was for new traffic. And so you may have maybe 3 different variables that could go in there. So it may be, no, we're not talking about traffic there. So we've got promotion. You could have maybe new arrivals, and it could just be as simple as that. You could have promo. And then when you get to your content, you could get down to granularity. So this could be Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We'll go with that because it's fairly recent. And that could have been what all of your promos were about. But you could then append additional information on here that was actually platform specific. So, you could have an ad set name in here, for example, and then your new traffic might have been, seasonal. So you might have summer or winter or something in there, but we'll go with summer so we keep it quick. And like I said, so then you could append variables in here so that, you could have the ad set name and that would always show up or something to that effect. So the idea being here is that you're starting to think about the measurement for the campaign as a whole rather than independently. And so just bringing that back all together, optimization within your ads platform. Now, this is a analytics screen that I'm using to demonstrate this here. But what I'm trying to highlight is that optimization within your platform is tunnel vision. You only get eyes on the source and medium or channel that you're using and the particular campaign that you're using, and not how it fits into these overall goals for the business that you're working for. Optimization across multiple ads platforms looks like this. So if you're working in cohesion, you can see how Google Ads performing, how Facebook's performing, how your social's performing, even how your Linktree, for example, is performing. And so if you can see that as a Google Ads, someone who's implementing Google Ads, for example, you may be interested, if you started running a particular campaign, to pop in and have a look what's happening with Facebook ads, so that you could, get those insights to say, okay, well, I've raised the budget on my search campaigns and I'm not seeing any conversions there. However, I'm seeing that there's a lot more, website clicks coming in organically. And so you're starting to link up those ideas about working together. So you go from this to this. You go from, a very focused view where you need to have that. You need to have that information to optimize your platform and understand the language that it is speaking. But you also need to have this bird's eye view so that you can see where else that language is being heard. So beyond ads, we've got Looker Studio, and Looker Studio previously was called Data Studio. I'm sure a lot of people have heard that by now. But this particular dashboard, for example, is the kind of thing that our team, we have Julie, who is our director of measurement, and she initially come up with these creations which have been fed out to, thousands of people by now. But this is using the information from Google Analytics and therefore those UTMs that have been fed into the platform to demonstrate some really actionable insights that can be taken away. So this is just one version of the dashboard, but very, very popular, that we call Eyes on the Journey. And so what is happening here, if this is a screenshot, so it's not actionable by me, but for example, if we were to filter on the traffic source of Facebook and Facebook initially and paid Facebook, we can see from this funnel how that Facebook traffic is behaving. We can see here at the various stages that we have outlined, and the legend is down the side here, we can see where that traffic is getting to. And we may have defined as our conversion goal that we want them to be interested. So by having a look and highlighting, pulling out that Facebook traffic from all of the other noise around it, we can have a look if the Facebook traffic is doing what we require it to do. So it doesn't mean that the platform that you're using necessarily correlates to a purchase. It does what it does best, and then you're able to use the platform in that way. So a quick summary of what we've been over. We talked about using UTMs well, and not just using them for the sake of it, not necessarily pulling in variables from the platform that you've got to, to get it populated with a campaign name from your platform, or a variable from your platform that doesn't allow you to take any action from it. And again, I just want to call out to the UTM strategy that Mercer has done, because he goes through that better than I can, and in this particular video, and that will all make so much more sense to you. And it's a really, really popular resource, so I highly recommend that you watch that if you haven't done so already. We talked about the value provide as an ads manager with peripheral vision. So talking about owning the ability to have an oversight of those campaigns that you are not necessarily running, but in some way, shape or form are responsible for, in terms of moving people through that customer journey. We look at how planning ads changes with the measurement mindset. So we start out thinking about the end goal And we kind of work backwards from there. So if we're starting from the fact that there's going to be a conversion, and then we step back, we think about optimization, and then we think about, the steps that we're going to take backwards to where we are now, and how are we going to get there? And that means that we need to have actionable insights along the way. And we had a very brief look at Looker Studio reports, and the big highlight there is that you can extract the information that you're getting from Google Analytics and put it into some sort of a form that allows you to have really good insights. And again, this isn't a Looker Studio session, so I'm not going to go into that in detail, but it would be something that I would recommend looking at, because the whole idea and where measurement marketing performs beautifully with dashboards is that we create dashboards that allow you to take actions. They're not just full of charts and pretty things that nobody ever uses. They're designed to be able to take an action within 30 seconds. And we say that if you can't do that, then you've just created data, which we all have enough of, but we don't necessarily have enough actions. So I would recommend taking a look at that. Resources to take a look at that I've mentioned throughout the course or throughout this session is the UTM tracker in the toolkit, the Academy workshops on UTMs, or like I said, Googling Mercer's name. There is plenty of those out there, plenty of podcasts, etc., that he has appeared on, where he's given really, really good talks and analogies around using UTMs. We've got wins on Looker Studio. We've got a Getting Started and a Beyond Basics. So if you're interested in manifesting the information that you've collected into an actionable report, then you can have a look at those, and also calling out the GA4 resources, because migrating to GA4 is a necessity for anybody who is an ads manager moving into, I guess, this new data era that we're in, but also in particular to make sure that you're collecting information well before July next year, July of 2023. So I will leave it there. Thanks for your time. I hope that you have got something out of this this strategy session, and you look to enjoying the benefits of UTMs and implementing them across your paid ads platforms. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Fiona. Absolutely amazing. And she's making her debut today. So, if you have a question for Fiona, if you happen to be an Academy member, whether you're an Academy for Marketers member, an Academy Professionals member, or Academy for Agencies and Teams member, all three of you have access to Ask an Instructor support. And Fiona's back there along with the rest of the instructor team, waiting to help you out with all those videos and screenshots. You can discuss strategy, you can discuss implementation, all sitting back there for you. So thanks again for that, Fiona. What's your one thing from this? I know when you look at the framework, we talk about the UTMs as really in this traffic stage. As Fiona mentioned, UTMs are how you do that. It's how you Google Analytics 4 will identify where the traffic's coming from. But she mentioned the results, that ACE results, right? The awareness, the completion goals, the engagement goals. She mentioned planning, how proper planning is what causes your build to be a little bit easier. Most people, they jump in the build and they don't have a plan, and then they have to rebuild and end up just going nowhere. So that's why the plan was so important, she talked about. And then finally, she started showing you, like, here's how you use it. Like, here's kind of like the promised land with Looker Studio and other platforms, and what you can do because you had a solid plan with an incredible build, so that your launch can be that much easier. And it's so much simpler to see where to optimize when you have taken the time to organize a proper measurement strategy, in this case around UTMs, specifically from your standpoint as a media buyer. Now, next week, we go to a What's New edition for Workshop Wednesday. That is because it is the first workshop of the new month, which will be December. So we're going to look back over November, and we're going to talk about all the latest features and updates that came out with tools like Google Analytics 4, Looker Studio, etc. And there were some big ones. So some of them were kind of frustrating, but you're going to get them all in next week's workshop. If you want that workshop, just be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. The other way you can get access to that workshop is, of course, to join the Measurement Marketing Academy. Now, in addition to the paid academy levels we have, the Academy for Marketers, Academy for Professionals, or Academy for Agencies and Teams, whatever level you're at, there is also a free edition called the Measurement Marketing Toolbox, right? This is the Academy Toolbox. That one is completely free. It comes with a Workshop Wednesday, and this is very important for this workshop, it comes with those tools, or at least a lot of them that Fiona had mentioned. So like the UTM Traffic Tracking Toolkit, like that's where that is. It is a free tool. It's available to you. You just got to sign up for it. Just a name and email. Become part of the toolbox, and you can get access to that as well. So if now's not the time to go into a paid platform, totally get that. We give away all those tools to our members, including the free ones. So please take advantage of that if it makes sense for you. To find out more about all the different versions that are available and the current options that are there for the Academy, just go to measure.tips/Get Academy. And we just brought back the monthly pay-as-you-go plan, which was a popular request to bring back. So talk about listening to the members, listening to your audience. That is what we did. So now we've got the pay-as-you-go option available as well. So again, just go to measure.tips/Get Academy to learn more about the Measurement Marketing Academy. With that, we'll go ahead and bring this one to a close. This has been a strategy session, how media buyers should be using UTMs. Thanks again for watching this workshop, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.